Hello, my name is Tiffany from Studio TKuip, and today I'm going to take you through the behind the scenes process of how I edited Sean and Rachel's wedding video. Before I even dive in and show you how it's edited, I want to tell you the equipment that I used to make this possible. Now the first thing that I used is a camera, and I used a Canon 90D camera. If I show you in my little mirror, oh, there you are. I used that camera. There's me in the viewfinder. Hello. And the lens that I used is a Canon 35mm with an f-stop of 2, and I used a DJI Ronin SC gimbal. Now, I want to give a little bit of pros and cons of each equipment that I used. Now, I really like my Canon 90D camera. However, these batteries are quite old, and I should have really purchased some new ones. However, if I was to buy an authentic Canon battery, one of these batteries cost $180. To be honest, I didn't really want to part with $180 for one battery. The second thing was that this lens is a fantastic photography lens, not so much a video lens. And the reason why is the motor in this lens is extremely noisy. Now, I'm really fortunate that this video is only a highlight reel, which doesn't require any sound to come from the camera. I knew when purchasing this lens it was going to be very, very noisy, so I knew I could get away with it. And the last thing that I used is this gimbal. And the only downside that I found with it is that this plate, this is where the camera sits on, kept moving. If this does move, you're up ship creek because it's taking out the entire balance of this gimbal. And it's really, really important that your gimbal is balanced correctly, because if not, it's gonna chew through a lot more battery. The last major tip with all your equipment is to make sure that you have lots of spare batteries on hand. Make sure that your SD card is essentially clear so you have lots and lots of room for footage. The last thing you want to be doing is going through and deleting stuff, so don't risk it for a biscuit, and be extremely comfortable with all your equipment, because there is always something that's going to happen that's out of your control or something you're not prepared for, so always be ready. So I like to import everything through image capture, and it is super duper important to back up all your work. I'm gonna look you right in the eye, mate. Listen to me loud and clear. Back up your work. Now, I have two hard drives, two external hard drives. I have one that is my main one, and then I have my backup one, and I always make sure that I have the exact same on both. So the deal that I struck up with my client for this job was that I was gonna give her all the raw footage, and I was gonna give her everything on a 500 gig external hard drive. And if you are going to be giving a client any type of USB or hard drive, please do make sure that it has been programmed for both Mac and PC, because you don't ever assume anything. It's always important to do for both software systems. Don't mind the chaotic mess, that's how we're gonna roll at the moment. Before the job is accepted, there's a lot of questions that I ask. And the first thing is, like, I make sure that the client is really, really happy with my work style, because it's very, very unique and I don't really wanna go and change it. So you have to like what I do. That's number one. And secondly, when I have gotten the job, I usually ask them, are there any particular shots that you're after or anything like that? My favorite type of clients are the ones that allow me to have creative freedom and just allow me to go off and do what I need to do, which is great. Massive thumbs up to people like that. And then there are some clients who have references and they've seen something that someone else has done, and that too is really good, because that again gives me a point of reference to go by. For my client, Rachel had asked me, when I'm editing this, to create a modern and have a vintage look and feel. Now, in the reference video that she showed me, I can't find it because I don't know where it is, they had the vintage part, which I thought looked really great, but they had a sepia effect. Now, because that day has already gone and finished, I feel like with the footage that I have seen, that having a sepia effect won't work, because the colors, without even editing them, are already beautiful, and I don't really want to play with that, and I don't really want to be going for a VCR or VHS look. I don't really want to go with that, because I feel like that will take away from that moment. So I thought perhaps I'm going to create a Super 8 look, a vintage look, and that is possible, and that will all be done in Final Cut Pro X. Now, when I import my footage, I click the little arrow up the top which says import media from a device, which I'm going to do. And I'm gonna make sure that I select my file. It's super important to organize your files because if you don't organize your files, you're gonna have absolutely no blooming clue where anything is. Now, before I even click the import button, of course I select all my files. So I click Command A, and I make sure that the files is leave files in place. In the early stages of video editing, I just put all my files on my computer, and I was a bit of a goose for doing that, but I didn't know any better. Click the leave files in place, because that means that those files, those video files, are not going on the computer, they're just staying on the hard drive. I click the import all button. I'm not going to do that because I've already imported all my files. All these files that I have, there's over 3 hours of footage. Now 3 hours of footage, that looking at that makes me want to cry. What I do is I get rid of all the unnecessary bits. The unnecessary bits are when the photographer or any background person features in it. I'm going to cut it out. You can kind of zoom in on some of the footage, but I try and keep everything I try not to zoom anything in because I don't really want to lose the image quality, but we'll move it in just a fraction. When I edit, I like editing to music because it gives me like boom, 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 boom. I know when everything comes into practice. So because I don't have to edit so much to music at the moment, I can just go into Spotify and listen to whatever. I am the most distracting person ever. Now you probably think, oh Tiffany, you're just being funny and you're acting up for the video. No, I'm gonna take my glasses off because I'm pretty damn serious. I am the most distracting person whilst video editing because I like having little dance parties in the way. I also like to give a little bit of commentary here and there because I'm absolutely shooketh about one particular thing. But if you were wondering what are some of the footage I would be cutting out, if you can see on that left hand side, you can see the light stand like the photographer is using. And the photographer features in it. Now I'm gonna cut that out because, not because I don't like the lady, that type of footage is not necessary and it's not helping tell the story at the end. If you wanna get the little snippers, you click B. If you don't know what that is. If you don't know and you're looking for some of these are the things. I use B a lot, which is the blade tool, the select tool, the trim tool is pretty handy dandy. I don't seem to really use many of the other ones. I'm actually gonna just start downsizing every footage piece. Now the goal is to get everything at the moment under 1 hour. But technically the final project should be something between 3 to 4 minutes. The other thing is when I'm editing, I like to make sure that I give myself a couple of days to edit because every single day I come back and edit, I have a completely different perspective on things. Another thing I want to touch on in video editing is the importance of music. Music can make or break your film. Music sets the tone, sets the atmosphere, and it is so important to make sure that you have the right track. And I also have to take in consideration that if I am putting this video up online, I have to try and find music that is royalty free or things essentially that don't get a copyright strike, because copyright is a pain in the rumpus. Two by two in an evening in Roma. I said I was distracted. Hello and welcome back to the second day of video editing with me. And technically it's day 3 because the first day I didn't film. So I'm gonna put my DJ muffs on. Hello. Today's challenge is to get everything under the 30-minute mark or less. And I know from all the footage that I have so far that a lot of the big chunks of footage is the people. I'm just gonna be frank. it's great to have people at your wedding and it's great for them to be in the shots, but the whole video is not about them. So you've got to pick the best parts out of those videos. So that's what I want to do today. And I also want to highlight this lady on the screen. Now this lady here, I don't know her name, I don't know anything about her, but to me, she is going to be known as Groove Queen. She like every time I look, boom, 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 groove, groove, groove. And I have so much mad respect for her. Like, yeah, she's going, go Groove Queen. So I just want to highlight that. If you want to know who I'm a little bit obsessed with, it's Groove Queen. Shout out to you, Groove Queen, and thank you for spicing up my footage. And I'm unsure if I'm going to do 2 versions, not 4, can't count, 2. There's this one song that I've been listening to, and it's called Malibu by Kim Petras, and I feel like that song encapsulates like the end part of the video, but I don't really want to include it. The only reason why is that it may get flagged for copyright. If you don't know anything about copyright, don't worry, it's so complicated that I don't even know it. You're welcome. You have to buy licenses and it's a very, very expensive and confusing process. So your best bet is to not put any copyright music in if you're gonna put it up online, unless you have a blooming license that's gonna cost you an arm and a leg. Oh, and another thing I want to point out is that if I like a clip, let's say I like this clip because it's a really fun little clip. There's this guy is an absolute champ because he's like, you know, wink at the camera. And so he spiced it up. I love that. Thank you, sir. I don't know whether I want to do that moment because it is a bit more of a candid moment as a Super 8 thing. So what I'm going to do is just do the Alt button. If you don't know anything about the Alt button or you've never used a computer in your life, I'm amazed that you're watching this. But I want to say that the Alt button is your best friend because you don't have to copy and paste everything. And sometimes when you copy and paste a clip, you may actually cut a clip without you realizing it until you actually do a little zoom and you go, that's not good. So just learn that Option or Alt is going to be your best friend when you want to duplicate anything. Is the 16th of July and I gave myself a timeline for when it came to editing this video to give myself 2 weeks. Essentially I finished all the work. My client came back to me and said, oh, there's a couple of things we'd like to change. This is concept 2 and I'm going to give this version to the client, but it's going to be known as concept 2 and that is the version that is solely dedicated to the groom's parents because they didn't feel like they featured enough in it. And I get it. I'm not gonna, you know, get my sassy pants on. Like, totally get where they're coming from. What I have is like 4, how many videos? 4. This one up the top is the one that has all the clips that I like, but I didn't want to add them all in. So I don't know what came over me. I feel like the Holy Spirit told me that I needed to create 2 projects. So this first project that is like around 11 minutes is all the beautiful shots that I really liked, but I just didn't want to delete them. I'm just gonna paste this on top just because at least I can come back to it. So I'm gonna go back to the OG one, the original one that just didn't make the cut. I know that their parents spoke, so I'm gonna just find that clip. Hopefully I didn't delete it like a numbnut. Oh, there they are. So I may just add them in, and I don't know whether you can tell right away, but you can see that the image is way too dark. So I'll fix that one up too. And the reason why I want to tell you about this situation is that I know from experience and from what other people have told me is that a lot of people have found that when it comes to wedding videos, whether you're the photographer or the videographer, it's really important to include both parents. Some people go, I would really like what they did, but I wanted to feature in it more. I'm gonna make sure that they do feature in it more. Is that the ladder? Oh my gosh. Let me have a gaze. What has happened? Oh! It is the ladder! We have a crisis. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna lay this down. Crisis has been averted. I apologise about that interruption. The ladder fell down. Hokey crokey! Okay, I'm gonna change a couple of things out. I love that shot. That gets me. I'm actually going to cut that short because she looks magnificent and we get the flash. I love that flash in the background. It gets me good. Boom. Oh! The flash lines up the music perfectly. That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a couple of things and had a little bit of fun watching it as well too. I just want to say that I am filming this on a 35mm lens, hence why it's very close to my face. I just want to let you know that I have linked the 2 versions in the description below. Concept 2, which is of the groom's parents, is not public. It's an unlisted video. You have to have the link to view it. I haven't made that public, and the only reason why is that both of those versions really look exactly the same, and I've only changed a couple of clips here and there. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more, subscribe, leave a comment, ring the bell, I don't know, all these button things, but if you like pressing buttons, press good buttons. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome and productive rest of your day.